Jane Eyre is a classic novel by Charlotte Bronte, first published in 1847. The novel tells the story of its eponymous heroine, Jane Eyre, and her journey from a lonely orphan to a self-assured and independent woman. Set in Victorian England, the novel explores themes of love, morality, and social class. The story begins with Jane Eyre as a young orphan living with her cruel aunt, Mrs Reed, and her cousins at Gateshead Hall. Jane is mistreated and ostracised by her relatives, particularly by her cousin John. After a particularly harsh punishment, Jane is sent to Lowood School, a charity institution for orphaned girls. Life at Lowood is grim, with harsh conditions and strict discipline enforced by the cruel headmaster, Mr Brocklehurst. However, Jane finds friendship in Helen Burns, a fellow student who teaches Jane the values of patience and forgiveness, before tragically dying of tuberculosis. After several years, Jane yearns for new experiences and leaves Lowood to become a governess at Thornfield Hall, a grand but isolated estate. At Thornfield, Jane is employed by the mysterious and brooding Mr Edward Rochester to educate his ward, Adele. Jane and Rochester develop a deep bond, and Jane finds herself falling in love with him, despite the differences in their social status. Rochester, who is also drawn to Jane's intelligence and spirit, proposes marriage to her, and she accepts. However, on the day of their wedding, a shocking revelation is made. Rochester is already married. His wife, Bertha Mason, is mentally ill and has been hidden away in the attic of Thornfield Hall for years. Devastated by this revelation and unwilling to compromise her moral principles, Jane leaves Thornfield, despite her love for Rochester. Penniless and alone, Jane eventually finds refuge with the Rivers family, St John, Diana and Mary, who turn out to be her cousins. St John Rivers, a clergyman, admires Jane's strong character and proposes to her, suggesting they go to India as missionaries. However, Jane refuses, knowing that she does not love him and that a marriage without love would be wrong. Jane soon receives an inheritance from her uncle, and with newfound financial independence, she returns to Thornfield to find that it has been destroyed by a fire set by Bertha, who died in the blaze. Rochester, now blind and maimed from trying to save his wife, lives in seclusion. Jane reunites with him, and their love is rekindled. This time they marry on equal terms, and Jane finds true happiness. Love and independence. Jane Eyre explores the tension between love and independence. Throughout the novel, Jane strives to maintain her autonomy and self-respect, even in the face of powerful emotions. Her ultimate happiness comes from finding a love that respects her as an equal. Social class and gender. The novel critiques the rigid class and gender roles of Victorian society. Jane, as a poor orphan and a woman, faces significant obstacles, but she challenges these limitations through her intelligence, moral integrity, and determination. Morality and religion. Jane's moral compass is a central theme. She often faces difficult choices that test her principles, particularly in her relationships with Rochester and St John. The novel also explores different interpretations of Christianity, contrasting the harshness of Brocklehurst and St John with the compassion of Helen Burns. Identity and self-respect. Jane's journey is one of self-discovery and self-respect. She learns to assert her identity and refuses to compromise her values, even when it means sacrificing her deepest desires. Her insistence on being true to herself ultimately leads to her fulfillment. In conclusion, Jane Eyre is a richly layered novel that combines elements of romance, social criticism, and Gothic fiction. Through Jane's experiences, Bronte explores the complexities of love, morality, and the quest for self-identity, making it a timeless and influential work of literature.